see Project L gameplay, right? It's a new fighting game. They flew pros in to try it, ran a tournament where Sonic Fox won. Jaewong and Diaphone came in second and third. Here's the thing about that game. Number one, I don't care about Riot Games. I don't play any of their games. That's League of Legends, right? So I know nothing about it, all right? You're going to see a lot of fighting game people covering the game. Why? Because that company is rich, and that company is going to pay people a lot of money to promote their game. You have to understand this, okay? That is one of the most prominent game makers in the world, and they want this game to sell. You're going to see every FGC person promoting the game because they're all going to get paid to do it. I want you to understand this before we even get talking further about it. You have to understand this will be one of the most heavily promoted fighting games in history. Probably will get more promotion than Street Fighter 6. I'm serious. That they will be throwing money at them to promote it, okay? Now, I have a couple problems. Problem number one, all right? The game seems to be a hybrid of a lot of other games. If you take a look at it, it seems to have taken a lot of elements from other games, versus games and things like that. And that's good, I guess. But personally, you know, they're starting a new fighting game franchise. I felt like it would have been better if they kind of went a more original route. It really seems to me from the gameplay I've seen of it. I haven't seen too much, but it seems like they're just biting off of other people. All there is let's take things that have worked in other fighting games and just slap them together. I'm not seeing much original about the game. Really, I'm not. All right? I would say the thing I saw the best about the game is the graphics. The graphics are pretty sweet, right? Like they're 60 frames per second, smooth, 3D animated, but they look like it's like a live anime, right? It's in that regard, I think the graphics are good. But outside of that, it 100% looks like they ripped off a bunch of other fighting games and did nothing original whatsoever for themselves. They just copied everybody else. Now, here's the other problem that I have with it. And this is a personal problem for me and likely will not affect 99.9% of the people out there. Okay? The Cannon Brothers. Cannon Brothers are the two guys who used to run EVO. They're the guys who used to run Shoryuken.com. They were some of the most biased people on the planet. The way that they ran the competitive Street Fighter community for years was biased and unfair. There was a lot of things back in the day that were very corrupt, that a lot of people spoke out against to try to stop. All right? It was a mess. Okay? The Cannon Brothers are working on the development of this game. They've been heavily developing this game. If you watch, they've been in all the press for it and everything. And some people are like, oh, it's great that the Cannon Brothers are involved. No, it's not. You have to understand something about these guys is that for so many years, they did things so underhandedly, you know? And so many people from back in the day have a bad taste in their mouth about these guys. Very well, maybe these guys have changed for the better. All right? Maybe that's the case. But all you got to do is look back a couple of years. These guys knew all along about Mr. Wizard. Mr. Wizard, for those who don't know, used to be a prominent guy in the fighting game community. Why? Because he was a good fighting game player? No. Want to know why he was prominent? Because he was friends with the Cannon Brothers. He was their buddy. So they made him in charge of running tournaments. They made him in charge of running EVO. He was the fucking president and CEO of EVO. Right? Why? He's not good at fighting games. Why the fuck is he in there? Why does he have any of the... Because he's friends with the Cannon Brothers. Okay? That's why. That's it. It's the only reason. So come to find out, the guy's a creep. He used to basically do all kinds of disgusting things to underage kids, like trying to get them to take their clothes off for him in an arcade bathroom and shit like that. And when all this came to light, all of a sudden, he's removed from being the head of EVO, and within 1 year, EVO's canceled, and then EVO gets sold to Sony, and now that's it, right? But the thing is, people shouldn't forget, all right? These guys knew all about it. They were friends with this guy for the longest fucking time. They were close personal friends with Mr. Wizard for the longest time. They knew all about him, how he acted, how he was back in the day. They knew everything about him 100%. You want to know how I know? Because I knew too. Because back in the day, there were always rumors about Mr. Wizard and shit like that. Just we didn't have evidence. It's just that everyone always heard the story that he used to do this kind of shit and it was fucked up. And you'd always say, why is Mr. Wizard in charge of everything? Why is he in charge of EVO? Why is he running the major tournament when you know this guy's a creeper weirdo? Yet they fucking have him running all these major events with kids in them and everything. Like, why is this? We all knew this for the longest time. It was prominently known in the fighting game community, but we had no power to do anything because we didn't have evidence. It wasn't until, what, 2-3 years ago when the evidence actually came out, and then all of a sudden he's banned from the community and EVO's sold off to Sony and the Cannons have no longer have involvement. All right? I'm sorry. I want nothing to do with anything associated with the Cannon Brothers. I don't. Those guys, for the longest time, had their own inclusive, or is it exclusive? The community that basically was their own circle of friends, and that circle of friends prominently got favoritism in the tournament scene, prominently got positions of power in the tournament scene, made money off the tournament scene, all right? Tournaments were unfair. They were stacked against one way or the other that was basically beneficial to everyone who they liked, and that was it. It was complete bullshit, and we always had to put up with shit like guys like Mr. Wizard and everything involved in it, and no one wanted that. But we all had to put up with it because either that or just don't play competitive Street Fighter. You deal with it. Either you deal with the injustice or you just don't play Street Fighter at all. So we had to deal with it for years and years and years. And then finally it comes out. It's like, all right, so we find out about Mr. Wizard. Well, what happened there? Well, EVO's canceled. EVO's now sold to Sony. Oh, look, the same guys who are fucking involved with that whole situation are making a fighting game. Everyone promote the fighting game. It's great. What? How did we just forget about what just happened? How did we forget about what just happened? These were the exact guys who hired and got Mr. Wizard into those positions of power, who allowed him to do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we forgiving that? And now they're going to fucking make a fighting game and everyone has to kiss its butt, you know? So, I'm going to be honest with you, it's hard for me right now. Because right now, you're right, the buzz is beginning about this game. I forget what it's called. What is the game called? I don't even know what it's called. I know it as the League of Legends fighting game, all right? But really, it's very hard for me to look at a game, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, the game doesn't look bad. Graphically, I think it looks good. Gameplay looks sound, right? It very well could be a very good fighting game. But every moment I look at it, I feel the taint of 25 years of a Street Fighter community that was corrupt, that they had this injustice going on, people in positions of power that certainly didn't deserve it and shouldn't have been in those positions of power based on their actions in real life. But we all had to swallow it, because if we didn't swallow it, we weren't allowed to be part of the competitive community. We just had to put up with it because SRK.com and EVO were the two authorities on Street Fighter. So either you put up with all the bullshit and all this horrible stuff, or you don't play competitive Street Fighter. So that's what I mean. Like, to me, I'm looking at, I'm like, every time I look at the game, I feel like I'm pissed and I feel like shit. Like, I don't want to play that game because of the fucking people associating with it, you know? I don't know. I mean, it's up to you guys to judge for yourselves. I mean, and the funny part is, have you heard a single person talk about this besides me? Because they don't want to. They want to remain in the prominent eyes of the fighting game community. They cannot speak out about it because if they do, they'll get blacklisted. They won't get sponsorships. They won't get partnerships. They won't get anything if they speak out. That's how powerful these fucking guys are. I'm serious. That's how powerful these guys have always been in the fighting game community. God forbid you speak out against them because you'll be blacklisted. So that's what I mean. Like, I really don't want anything to do with this game. But I admit it looks good. You know? So I don't know. I'm torn. You guys tell me, well, how should I feel about this? What is your opinion? I love to get third-party opinions about how I should feel about this. Should I care about this game? Should I play it? Should I cover it? Should I skip it completely? Should I exist like it doesn't? Should I act like it doesn't exist? You know? I don't know. Literally no one has said a word about the Cannon Brothers' involvement at all. Literally no one. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal that the guys who ran EVO and made Mr. Wizard, was friends with Mr. Wizard, the only reason he was ever involved with EVO was them. Because they were friendly with him. They knew all about him and everything about his history, and still they prominently made him the leader of this fucking company. They let him make decisions to run to run it when they knew about the fucked up things he had done in the past. I mean, that's all we know about. You know, who knows if anything else happened. The thing that gets me is, if that was the truth, and if Mr. Wizard did those messed up things in the 1990s at arcades, like he's alleged that he did, and supposedly he fessed up to, he confessed to them, right? Why would he have stepped down or quit doing stuff today? That's 20 years ago, or 15 years ago. So listen, I was an awful person. I made horrible problems for everyone, and I've completely changed, and here's how. I went to counseling. I did this. I'm a better person. I openly admit what I did was horribly wrong. I will never do it again. Why didn't he do that? Instead, he just said, oh, well, I quit. I'm good. Bye-bye. And then EVO got canceled, and then EVO got sold. What that tells me is that, sadly, there was more. And that was their way of brushing it under the rug, so that didn't even blow up even worse in their faces. That's what that tells me. So, you know. To me, that's ridiculous. Like, and now everything's fine. Oh, the guys involved in that whole thing are making a fighting game. Great. As long as the money rolls in, I don't care, right? Whatever. Whatever. People do whatever they want. That's how people act. That's how people are in life, right? So, you know, you do what you want to do, you know, and you know, I can't stop anyone. More power to everyone taking the bag and advertising the game and playing the game and do whatever they want. I don't want nothing to do. I was the guy, one of the guys, who had the ire of the Cannon Brothers and or EVO staff and or SRK staff back in the day. Now, admittedly, a lot of that was because I was an internet troll. But once you're on that end of it and you see the injustice happening right before you, you see your friends being screwed over, being put on broken arcade cabinets and told to play your tournament match there, even though they paid tons of money to come to the tournament just like everyone else. When you see brackets shuffled around to favor people from the West Coast who they're buddies with, while you have to play a gauntlet of good players and they're playing scrubs and they get right to the finals. When you see all these broken, fucked up things happening over and over the years, and you realize it's not just a once-off occurrence, it's a fucking series, a history of this kind of mistreatment and corruption, you want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? And again, back then, you had to swallow it. You had to say, the only way I'm going to play Street Fighter competitively is to put up with these guys, because they're in charge of everything in the United States when it comes to Street Fighter. They had the website, srk.com. You didn't post your tournament up there. No one knew you were having a tournament. All right? EVO was the Nationals. You had to put up with it, or else just don't play Street Fighter. So we all did, you know. A lot of people over the years quit because of these fucking reasons. You know, they practice all year. Oh my God. And then they go to the tournament, they get screwed over with mistreatment. And they're like, well, fuck it, I quit, I retire, I'm never playing Street Fighter ever again. Sad. Shit happened all the time, you know?